always say that in order for me to share an experience with you that's either astral projection or beyond body, that experience has a high bar that it must reach. This morning, I'm going to tell you initially that I'm not sure exactly what this was. I'm 100% sure that it was not an astral projection experience. And in regards to whether it was beyond body or not, I'm maybe 50-50 on whether it was beyond body or not. 50-50, maybe less. I'm leaning more towards a lucid dream. And so I'm telling you this initially so that you know that this is the case. Now, I normally don't share experiences like this on this channel, but I saw a device in this, I guess maybe you could call it even a vision, that I needed to share with you. So let me get into describing this device. I was in an apartment of some sort. I don't remember what, if anything, was in this apartment. I remember walls, that's about it. I was standing, and in midair, a device materialized. It was floating, just floating there. And the first thing I noticed about this device was that the face of the device had a grandfather clock face. So the device had the face of a grandfather clock. Now, grandfather clocks have been around forever, and I want to make sure that I describe this appropriately, because perhaps there are people that don't know what that looks like. I don't even know if it's a thing anymore to go out and buy grandfather clocks. But the face of the device was golden, and it had Roman numerals. It looked like it could have been from the 18th century, as far as I was concerned. It looked ancient, and yet it was modern somehow. I don't know. And so you had the face of the device, a clock face, grandfather clock face, and fused to the back of it was rock. And I'm talking about the kind of rock you might find perhaps in a cave. Maybe if you went into a cave, it was that kind of rock. And I would say, by the way, I want to give you a sense of the size of this device. I would say you could cradle it like a child. It was about that big, an infant child. Yeah, that was about the size of it. And this rock that it was fused to was cone-shaped rock. And this is going to be the hardest part for me to describe, because I really had to sit and think about it. It was smooth. The surface of the rock was smooth, but there was an impression in it, and this impression swirled around it. It was as if it had been threaded, and I think threaded is probably the better way to say it, like the lower end of a screw. As if you could have taken this device and screwed it into something, or placed it into something, and that way you could have twisted it into something else. It was quite fascinating. And this device, as I said, was floating in midair. And the first thought in my mind when I saw it, or the first impression that I got, was that this was some kind of device that could be used to travel through time. But that was only one of the perhaps functions of this device. I thought in my mind that there were a variety of functions. Now, this device started to descend and slowly settled down to the floor. So I kneeled down and I began to examine it. I began to look at it. And I just found it quite curious. It wasn't long before I opened my eyes here back in my world, in the 3D world. And I laid in bed and I really, for a while, I lay there and I'm just like, should I really share this with you? Because again, this was not astral projection. This was not the beyond body. This was, I don't know, perhaps, like I said, a lucid dream of some sort. But because the device was so unusual and I'd never seen a device like that before, I just wanted to take a moment to share it with you. I don't know. Perhaps you have your own thoughts about this. You could put them in the comments if you like, but this was simply for me to share. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on another journey with me, and until next time, take care.